Life is all about relationships. Lovers, family, body, or money. How satisfied you are can be completely explained by how you relate to things around you. This is Sophie Jaffe, and together with my husband, Dr. D. Jaffe, we are here to explore and teach you how to maximize your relationships and achieve a happier life. Let's get ignited. This episode of Ignited is brought to you by Chosen Foods, a San Diego-based health food company best known for starting the avocado oil craze.
You know, I love avocado oil because I can't burn down the kitchen. I mean, it has a really, really high smoke point, like 500 degrees, and a really beautiful neutral flavor, so I don't mess up the food even if I forget it on the stove for a little too long, which, let's admit, happens every once in a while.
Chosen Foods offers a variety of healthy fats and clean label products like avocado oil mayo and avocado-based salad dressings, so yummy. And they're helping people on their wellness journey through the promotion of natural, real food made with clean label ingredients.
So for 50% off your order of $10 and more, all you got to do is visit chosenfoods.com/ignited and use promo code IGNITED50. That's IGNTD 50 during checkout.
Awesome.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Ignited Podcast. I'm Adi Jaffe.
And I'm Sophie Jaffe.
And today we are doing a check-in.
Yes.
We're doing one of those getting personal episodes where we follow up with one of the couples. For those of you who have been following the podcast for a little while, you will recognize this couple, Lacy and Darrell, and we're going to talk much more about them. I'm not going to get much into what's going on with them here because you'll hear it, but we heard from a lot of you, and I really felt when a few couples asked us if they could talk to us after this, and that it would be really amazing if some of them were willing to share this publicly. And I really feel that way about being able to connect to these stories. We didn't have anything like this.
No, we didn't have any public stories, and that's why I wrote those articles. You know, if you look up sex addiction and Sophie Jaffe, you'll find a women's health article and a Mind Body Green article and a few others. And honestly, there really isn't much out there. So if you've been in a relationship where there's cheating, if, your cousin, your mom, like whatever, like the cheating happens, right? And sex addiction, just like any addiction, can manifest from that. And it doesn't mean that you're doomed. And it's really important. It also can mean that the relationship's not right for you, but that information's out there. Before we get too deep into this, because we will in a second, I just wanted to share our fan of the week, and our fan of the week is Nunu Palma, and she left us a 5-star rating and a review, and I'm going to read the review here in a second. If you like what you're listening, please go and leave us reviews and ratings. We love reading them and listening to them. What Nunu left, I think, is really relevant to this episode. She said, I wanted to share my gratitude for this episode. You guys are so brave and discuss society's deal breakers and taboos and put all your dirty clothes out in the open. It's really inspiring to hear other people struggling who are keen to put the work to have a better relationship. And then she hashtagged #shame. Yay.
And the reason I think this speaks to it is what you were saying. If for those of you who this episode and the topic speaks to, don't forget to just take a screenshot right now, share it on Instagram, tag me at Dr. D. Jaffe, tag ignited.me, and tag Sophie Jaffe, Sophie.Jaffe, so that we can see it, and maybe you'll be the fan of the week in one of these upcoming episodes. More
importantly, it's more about like getting the word out there and spreading the word about the work we're doing so that we can help someone. Like, you never know, by sharing this podcast with someone in your sphere, your world, you never know who could be watching, who could be listening, who may not even comment back and say, oh yeah, I listened too, or that changed my life. But we're really here to do the hard work and talk about the things that no one else will talk about as a giving back, as a way of saying thank you to whatever you want to call it, the universe, God. We feel like we need to, with every ounce of our being, help couples so that they don't necessarily have to go through divorce. They may anyway, but at least so that we can help people do the work, share what kind of work to do in all capacities, not just in this.
I don't know if we've even talked about the fact that our goal for Ignited Relationships is to literally lower the divorce rate in this country. We know it's a big goal, but we think we can do it through this medium by helping couples. I mean, we've already had a couple of couples tell us we were on the way to filing the paperwork. We heard you guys and we said, you know what? If those guys could make it, we're going to give it another shot. And just
we both burst into tears like that. Those emails, those DMs, that's why we do what we do. If we can help one, which now we know several relationships that we may have had an impact in a positive way and they're now not going to get a divorce. I mean, some of these people have children.
Yeah, the couples I'm thinking about had families, and it's like just to be able to save, if we can save one family through all this work, I would be more than happy for it. And so, yes, share it so that you can be included here, but also obviously in order to propagate kind of what we're doing, because today's episode is about struggle. If I'm honest with you guys, like not all the couples, this isn't made up. We're not creating scripts for these couples. This is real stuff, real shit that's going on in people's lives right now. And we want you to be like that fly on the wall so that you can understand that the journey is not necessarily super clean. It's not a linear progress chart where every day you're doing better than the day before and it never skips back down. You're going to hear a lot of struggle in today's episode. And I was thinking about this, and the relationship tip for today will have to do with this. So if when you and I were 3 or 4 months into it, like Lacy and Darrell are, we were struggling.
Oh, yeah. We were a mess.
I don't know that anybody really knew that we were going to make it.
I mean, were we even living together anymore then?
No, we were living 3 months into it. We were living together, but there were many, many nights where I would sleep in the living room or,
Oh, yeah. I slept all the time in the living room.
You went to your parents a few times. Mm-hmm. Like, there were nights where we thought it was going to be done. And we were working our ass off. It wasn't like for lack of trying. It was just really, really rough. And so a lot of these things come up here today in terms of transparency. This stuff we talk about with transparency, guys, we didn't make it up. And the moment we made it up, all of a sudden it became easy. It was a fucking struggle. There were times where the things I told you, Soph, made you think you were going to leave me for telling you those things, even though you asked for them.
And then the shame that you felt afterwards lasted for weeks.
Oh, honestly, it lasted the whole time. It's just, I walked around like drowning in a bucket of shame constantly. And it felt like maybe I'm never going to be able to get out of this. Yeah. And so today's relationship tip is really about that. It's about giving yourself and your coupleship the time that it needs and the permission to go on the journey that it has to. If there's one element of this that you can't control, it's time.
And you can't rush it.
You can't. And it's different for every couple and it's different for every person. You might feel like you're over it or you're on the other side of it or you've established trust or you've put in new habits way before your partner is ready.
There is so many layers of healing and the aspect of time. I can't tell you how many times I wanted to rush it and just say, I'm fine. I'm good now. I'm healed. I trust you again. You can say those things. You can think those things. It's not going to magically make it happen. You have to just put the work in and respect time.
And I wanted, whenever you would say that, I really wanted to believe it because I wanted that to be true. And then we would catch ourselves in another situation where you wouldn't, and all of a sudden it would flare up again.
I was triggered.
And it would scare the shit out of me because it would be like, well, you told me that we were fine. Why are we back here?
Exactly.
And the shame would come up. So just really, look, easier said than done. I totally get it. But do your best to give yourself that time and the permission to go on the journey. And if the way I kind of talk to a lot of people about it, the couples we work with, if overarchingly, like if you look at 3 months ago and you're doing better than you were doing 3 months ago, and you can say that repeatedly, like every 3 to 4 months when you look back, you're doing great.
Yep.
That is progress and that is amazing.
And thank you, Lacy and Darrell, for even doing this, trusting us with your story, showing up. I mean, Lacy had the flu or like some sort of sickness doing this. 3 months into it, it is so messy and dirty, and we just so appreciate you. So thank you for sharing your hearts with us and your story.
Yeah, it takes a lot of bravery to get out there and talk about the stuff they talk about in this episode. So stay tuned. We are going to come to you right after this little interruption. If you find that you actually have a hard time giving yourself that permission, that's exactly why we have the Ignited Relationship Intro course.
Yeah.
Super cheap, easy to achieve. You can go to it right now. We'll have a link under here, and it discusses exactly the sort of tools we talked to Lacy and Darrell about in this episode.
And like Adi said, it's really affordable. We actually have the relationship course, which is linked under this, at a sliding scale.
Yeah.
So you can kind of pay a little extra and help make up for someone else, or you can pay the minimum, which is really, really affordable.
Yeah, it's a $72 course, and if you can only afford a 48, I think is the lowest level, then pay that. But if you feel like you can pay for somebody who wasn't able to pay enough or a lot, you pay $96, and it's almost like paying for somebody else's course. It's really, really beautiful. Hundreds of people have already taken it. You'll love it if you do it. And, we're here to help. So let us know what more you need. Love you all. See you on the flip side.
Mwah. This episode of the Ignited podcast is brought to you by Philosophy Superfoods. The Philosophy offers cleanses and other nutritional products that are unlike any of the other supplements and detoxification programs on the market. Why? Because they actually nourish the body with whole, live, nutrient-rich foods instead of depriving you and leaving you hungry. Have you ever tried a cleanse only to find out that you can't make it through a whole day because you're starving? Ever try a superfood shake that made you nauseous because it was so disgusting you'd rather not eat? The Philosophy fixes all that with a simple set of offerings that load up your body with nutrients while actually tasting good. Makes sense, right? Each of the Philosophy superfood and protein blends is vegan, raw, gluten-free, and has absolutely no filler ingredients. With over 15,000 satisfied customers, including some of the world's biggest celebrities like George Clooney, Gerard Butler, Lea Michele, and over 10 years of experience, this is the best stuff you can get. To buy some or find out more info, go to our website, thephilosophy.com.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the conversation part of this Ignited Relationship podcast. As we told you right before, this is one of our Getting Personal episodes, and we've got Lacy and Darrell coming back. It's been a couple of months since we talked to you guys last. So welcome, first of all.
Thank you. Hi.
Howdy.
Hello. I'm just going to catch everybody up. We talked. You're one of two couples that we're doing this with, where we kind of check in with you guys and how are things going, and having really honest conversations about the process. I'm going to go through it quickly. Please don't confuse that with a lack of empathy or feeling like I don't care about everything we talked about last time, but I just want to catch everybody up if they don't remember, if they didn't listen. By the way, if you are listening right now and you didn't catch the first one, stop. Don't listen to this one. Mm-hmm. Go back to the last episode, listen to that one first, and then do this, because otherwise it's going to feel really weird. It's going to be like dropping into a TV show in the middle and you don't know any of the characters. So last time we talked, we had mentioned how, Darrell, you had an affair with somebody at work. That's kind of how this whole thing started. And you guys have been working through some of it, but struggling and not really knowing where to, where to grab hold of the pain and the struggles that you guys were going through on a regular basis. We talked about a lot last time. I mean, Darrell, we talked about your family growing up. We talked about the whole process with this other person and how, Lacy, how you found out and everything. And I know the last episode hit a lot of people really deeply because you guys were so brave and you were able to talk about things that, let's be honest, most people just pretend like they don't happen.
Right.
And then, 4 years later, they get divorced and nobody, what happened? What went wrong? So I think it's so brave of you guys for doing this. And I'm really looking forward to checking in. Last time we talked, Darrell, about, the potential of kind of creating another way of being. And I know how hard that is to actually do, but creating a model of where you wanted things to go. And we wanted to see just the progress and check in with you guys. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on for you guys right now. I know, Lacy, you're a little sick, so I'm sorry for that.
It's okay. We've had some really rough patches in the last, 3 months. It kind of got really bad. So I was questioning if we were going to be able to get through it. Just because we were having a lot of arguments, I was doing a lot of spiraling and I will say that I've been trying to work on myself, my spiritual journey is what I kind of refer to it as. Just kind of healing myself and digging in where I feel like I need to improve just for me. And then kind of be here for him through his struggles that he's having. I've been reading a lot of Gabby Bernstein and like just a lot of stuff that's really helped me a lot.
That's great.
But other than that, I was still having episodes where I was feeling like he was neglecting us because he was so caught up on his health and feeling like, I guess, guilty, a lot of guilt, a lot of actual pain, like feels sickness. And so I felt like he was so focused on that we weren't able to work on us. And, as it's definitely me that needs to work on myself and he needs to work on himself. But at the same time, we do have to kind of nurture our marriage and do our part. And it took him, actually, I'll say like in the last 2 weeks, it's like he's done a big turnaround. He's actually been doing a lot of positive for us. Like, I'm really grateful for that. I told him that. I was like, thank you so much. Like, I've noticed that I guess you saw that it wasn't doing any good for us to not, take care of our marriage like a little bit, because like I feel like that's what it is at this point. We just have to rebuild it.
Yeah.
So, he's doing good with that. If you want to add something, you can.
Yeah. What's been going on from your standpoint, Darrell?
I mean, as you were saying, I just wasn't doing the things I was supposed to do as far as trying to improve or trying to like get past, what happened. Like, with her asking anything she wanted to know, like I was still there all the way, like, saying it, but I still felt like that was it was so many steps back for me. Like, I didn't feel like that was something that should be happening. So I was kind of like, I kind of stopped interacting with that, with her asking those types of questions. So,
sorry, I'm going to ask for a little clarification. What felt like so many steps back?
It's just it being brought up, especially dealing with like the physical part that I was dealing with.
Okay.
With it being brought up, it was just like, I wanted, just like, and it, like I said, with the guilt, the whole guilt thing, and it just felt like it resurfaced everything. And
so you were having health issues, and I think if I remember right, just from the little updates that I've had, you felt like the health issues were actually connected potentially to the affair, right?
Definitely, yes. And I mean, given what I had done, just the whole situation, like I just felt like, obviously, like, I'm telling myself, like, this is what's happening. You're going to go down as the biggest piece of shit, because like you went out and done this first of all, and now you brought something back home.
So that's that's a ton of guilt. And by the way, again, this is why I love having these conversations and the honest kind of conversations that we're having. Is a lot of times when that happens, right, when guilty feelings and shame about everything that we've done and all the consequences of that, when they get put in our face, and it sounds like for you it was A, around health, and B, about what did I just hurt my partner too, like physically, not just emotionally. And then your partner goes, hey, we need to talk about it. It can become so overwhelming in terms of the shame that we actually do the exact opposite of what we need to in the moment. And it sounds like that was happening to you guys a lot.
It was. And like I say, she opened herself up, and she was like open to like every possibility, to be honest. Like, I couldn't ask for a better partner. I mean, like I couldn't sit here and say that I would even be as openly ready as she was, as far as like me giving her everything that I was going through, like the possibilities and stuff like that. She was just there to listen, there to talk.
We had a discussion that he was like, what if I had a really bad STD, something we could never get rid of? What if it was something serious like HIV? And I just literally gave him like the way I approached it was like, well, I'm here. I mean, whatever happens, that comes along with this. Like that, like I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. And I think that really, like, he was just shocked, I guess, that I was like that.
Definitely.
What did that feel like, Darrell, to be told that?
It really it humbled me a lot, you know. I mean, just to know that there's someone or people, you know, that this amazing on the planet, you know, just like, I mean, given what I've done and then her accepting that, and then all of a sudden I'm bringing up a possibility of, you know, let's STDs, and then she's accepting of that too. It's like, you know, it's kind of mind blowing. So,
and I mean, mind blowing, humbling. What would be your reaction? Like, how did it? What did it make your days like when you're having these conversations and they're coming front and center because you're thinking to yourself, maybe I hurt her?
Well, at first, you know, obviously I was trying to keep it kind of under wraps, like didn't want to bring it up, was having, you know, felt like I was having these symptoms. Didn't want to talk about it just because of, you know, I mean, pure just being afraid of the initiation of the conversation.
Yeah.
But when it did,
up the fact that you wanted to possibly end your life.
Yeah, I did
a couple times.
Yeah, I did.
Like if something had happened to me,
yeah,
you would never be able to live with yourself. So those things were being said at that time a lot. And then he just kind of was like, well, that's selfish. You know,
I'm a father, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah. But yeah, that definitely it crossed my mind a couple of times. So, you know,
the pain got that big. It got so, the pain and the shame got so strong that sometimes it seemed like maybe it's a better idea to just not be aware of anything, just end it all.
Exactly. And I mean, I feel like definitely now that, especially speaking to you, and then like things that she's brought about, it was more shame, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely still, you know, I feel different, but like I said, you know, I was going into autoimmune. I feel like I have my own problems that I have to take care of myself that were presenting themselves before this situation ever happened. So, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's so common. Unfortunately, it's so common when we get so confronted with the consequences of some of the things that we've done to want to escape them. Right. I mean, if we're honest about it, you know, based on the conversation we had last time, that's a little bit of kind of what brings on the trouble in the first place anyway, right? Why do people start drinking a lot? Because there's so much going on in their everyday life, they can't manage it. And so instead of dealing with it, either removing some of the things that are stressing them out or fixing the relationships that are creating them pain, they drink to just take the edge off. And then what ends up happening is they're stuck in the exact same place, but now with a drinking problem on top of it, like 5 years, 10 years later. Yeah. And the same thing can happen around relationship problems, right? It feels easier to shut down the relationship almost than to go do all the work that's worth fixing. Now, it sounds like maybe there's been a little turnaround the last couple of weeks, but you guys have been walking, if I'm hearing you right, you've been walking through a few months of kind of walking through or on fire.
Yeah.
It was
there was a lot of it was just creating just negative all the time. Just the fact that I was feeling on my end like resenting him because I'm like, you're not even trying to work on this. You know, I'm feeling like he's not trying to work on it because he's shutting down or lashing out because he didn't want to hear about it. Kind of felt like he was rushing me to get over it, which I know that can't happen. I know that I'm not over it. Like, I'm not going to be over it for quite a little while. I need a lot of time. But I think it was so disconnected, like all the time. And I will say, really, the last couple of weeks, I have felt a lot more connected, only because I think we were like, okay, this actually works to talk to each other nice. And, you know, I'll ask him a quick question, like, okay, let me just ask real quick, you know, like, And then I know it's a silly question, but it's just something I want to know. And he's like, okay. And then he got to where he's like, okay, he'll answer it. We're done. That's it. Not talking about, you know?
Okay. So you found that that's something that works, is making sure that it's clear in the beginning. I don't need this to be a 20-minute conversation. There's just something that's picking in my head, and I just need to know the single answer, then I'll be done. And you feel like that's something that you guys have found helps.
Right.
Why does that help you, Darrell?
Well, like you said, I mean, the quick questions, it helps me a lot because, like I said, it's there. It's out in the open, bold face. Hey, ask me this question. I'll answer it. And it's over. It's not a long drawn out, like, hey, let's have this conversation. And then eventually probably end up getting into it because we've let this thing persist and go on for so long that it just becomes something that it should have never became, so.
You realize that just by like quickly answering and then not making you feel like it's bad about asking it.
Yeah, sure.
It's just easier.
It's like it's normal. Hey, I mean, I did this. Whatever you need. I mean, really, whatever you need to get over it. So, or to help you get through it.
Right.
So when it's a quick thing, and let's say Darrell, Lacy has a question in her head, and she asks you about it. Is it like factual questions? Is that what comes up a lot of times? Is it about a date? Is it about a specific thing? What comes up for you, Lacy, when you ask the question?
The last question I asked is really funny. Like we had just had sex, and I was like, I need to know, was the sex with her is it better with me or better with her? Like, and I knew that he wasn't going to look at me and be like, it was better with her. But like, I just needed that, of course it's better with you, And like, he gave me that, and that's I'm like, okay, thanks.
It's like acknowledgement. You just want to be acknowledged, and like
right.
Fears don't have to be logical. they just exist. And sometimes we just need the person we love to like let us know that it's ridiculous. And even saying it out loud, like you laughed just now when you said it, because it's not based in reality. That the sex is better with you. You guys have a real connection. You can think these things, and they don't have to be logical. It's like a fear is a fear. And having your person just walk you through that and make you feel safe and loved and wanted, that's all we all want, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so, I mean, Darrell, she asked you this question. You guys just finished having sex. She asked you this question. What's the first thing that comes up in your head? And do you preface it, Lacy, before? Do you say, hey, I just have a quick question I want to ask you?
Yeah.
So what comes up in your head as soon as you hear that, Darrell?
Obviously, like, oh shit, here we go again. Like,
Okay.
In all reality, I just wanted to, like you said, Sophie, just kind of honing in what you were talking about. I mean, I just wanted to make her feel safe. I just wanted to let her know, like,
and we're being honest.
Yeah,
right?
And I wanted to be, for sure, like 100%, yeah, definitely. But especially, I mean, like I said, I just wanted to make you feel safe, make you feel comfortable, and know that,
Yeah.
So.
And that's actually such an important thing, right? Because the reason I was asking about the feelings, I needed to use one fact as kind of our anchor, but I was caring more about the feelings that come up for you, Lacy, and feelings that come up for you, Darrell, around these discussions. That's really what this process is about, right? Is, Darrell, how do we get back to a place where you both feel safe in the relationship? Because Lacy, again, you said before, and I want to know what getting over it really means, like in your head, what that means to you, because you said, I'm not over it yet. But you want to get back to a place where when Darrell wakes up in the morning, when he walks out of the house, when he comes back into the house, when you see him every second, and when he goes to bed, you're not doubting motives, you're not doubting what he's done, you're not doubting what's going on in his head, all that stuff. You want to be safe. And Darrell, maybe from what we talked about last time, I think, and this is why so much of the work that I'm going to talk about today and just moving forward is around kind of what we can do with you, because I don't know that you've ever really felt safe in these kinds of relationships. And when I say safe this time, I mean in really owning and being honest and truthful about everything, and believing that the person next to you, Lacy, is going to be cool and is going to be okay no matter what you say.
Yeah, that's very true.
I don't know that safety's ever really happened for you. And so, and I know the feeling personally because I felt that way in my relationship with Sophie and all other women pretty much before Sophie. But this process for both of you, for you, Lacy, it's to rediscover that safety. And for you, Darrell, maybe to discover it for the first time, to know, oh, wait, I have a partner. I mean, I know this about Sophie now. We talked about it on the way to something today in the car. We haven't had sex in a while because the baby, and like, it's, it's a baby at home, and it's like all this stuff that happens.
You're tired. And
yeah, I mean, we've got 3 kids at home. It's just anybody who's got 3 kids and just had a baby knows exactly what to talk about. I don't need to explain it. But I said, we've got to do it pretty soon here because it's getting to that place. And Sophie was able to turn to me and say, like, what do you mean? What exactly, what's happening in your head around it? We got to have an honest conversation.
No, here's what he said. He said, we need to have sex soon or else I'm going to have to figure something else out. And I'm like, what? What do you mean by that? And I know logically, I know that he doesn't mean I'm going to have to go cheat on you. Like, I know that. But like, what are these words that are coming out of your mouth? Like, what? What do you mean you have to figure something out? And like, he doesn't mean that, but to someone who's been through that experience before, wrong thing to say.
Right. So here, I said something. She got triggered in the moment and then talked about it immediately. So it's not a thing. And that's something 9 years ago we couldn't have done.
And he explained what he meant, and clearly it didn't have anything to do with another human being, but I still needed to hear it, even though I knew that it wasn't what he meant.
And so for you guys right now, part of the process is just getting to a place where you can trust that what the other person is saying to you is 100% honest, and that they have your safety, your well-being, your health, your care at the forefront of their mind.
That's an awesome place to be. Yeah. And I mean, like I say, I feel like me and Lacy we're definitely close. We're like, I mean, with the whole, I mean, if something like that was coming about and it was, see, I don't have to, because we haven't had a baby, I wouldn't have to masturbate or anything right now. But, I feel like she would be comfortable with that. But definitely, as long as I assured her, there was no.
As long as like nothing's happening behind anybody's back, right? That's really the whole thing we're getting at. And if I can, and I want to go back to this because I know it's been an issue, and I don't know if it still is, but I just want to make sure around the whole health scare. Yeah. I hear the fear of what if I brought this back home, right? Mm-hmm. I hear that 100%. And I just want to stress that no matter what happened and no matter what got brought back anywhere, the best we can do, and I think for guys this is more easily programmed, but the best we can do is look at what's in front of us and just handle it.
Exactly.
Because we can't change the past.
Exactly. And that's kind of where I stand right now. I mean, like I say, I mean, I've been told by 4 doctors now, hey, you're all right, calm down, you dodged the bullet, blah, 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 but, I still continue to tell myself, just because, like you say, the shame is just like kind of overwhelmed my life. But we're definitely in a better place now. I really feel like we're getting there. But
you see the importance of having to have conversations and the things that the way that we've been going about stuff. This is what we need to do to continue to get better. Like if we take 5 steps back, it's because we got into it because I asked you a question and you're like, I don't want to talk about this, or like really, or like make me feel awful for asking.
But like you say, you just have to deal with it. So like I say, I mean, as far as we know, we're good. But health wise, we're good. I just kind of like it's more of a mental thing, I guess now, depression and all that. So
I just wonder if we can shift the perspective a little bit to this. If something feels uncomfortable, that should be a good thing. And the reason I'm saying this, I know it sounds weird, but the reason I'm saying it is you just discovered something you got to handle. And if you don't handle it now, it'll come back next time. I mean, it's not going anywhere. You can leave it there if you want, but it's like leaving little mines in the field, right? Like if you're a soldier and you find a mine in the ground, you can take it out, and there's risk in taking it out, right? I got to go in. We got to bring the bomb squad in. We got to clear the area, all that stuff. You got to do all the prep and you got to sit through the discomfort, all the fear, all that. But if you don't do it, you'll walk past. And then when you walk back down that field, you're either going to find it again or you're going to hit it and you're going to blow up. So each one of those discussions that feels uncomfortable, I just wonder if you can shift the perspective. If we as a group can kind of shift the perspective a little bit and go, oh, wait, we just found something I feel weird about. I didn't even realize this thing existed. Like that conversation Sophie and I had this today. I never would have thought that something I would say 9 years later could still make Sophie kind of go, wait, what are you talking? What's the other option here? Yeah. So I'm glad that we had that conversation today, because that was one more opportunity for me to clarify to Sophie, that's not a thing. That is never happening again. It's not something you got to worry about. And now she believes me and trusts me. So having that conversation was really easy this time. Darrell, when Lacy asks about something that feels uncomfortable, I wonder if you can't, like at work, let's say at work, right? If something, let's say there's like somebody tells you to go get, like, right, it's a warehouse. So somebody says, we got to get these products and they're over there. And they give you the aisle and a shelf and all that stuff. And you go over there and the wrong product is in place. One way to look at it is, damn, somebody screwed up. The other one is, I've got to go fix the thing. Like, for some reason, you told me that book is sitting in that area. It's not. We got to go find it somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And then the point is to go search and go, what got messed up? How do I fix it? And how do we move forward? I'm wondering if there could be the same way of looking at, wait, why? If Lacy's bringing this up, and I'm cool, I'm actually not doing anything that I shouldn't be doing. If Lacy brings this up and it makes me feel uncomfortable, maybe I can get curious about it and go, that's weird. That totally made me anxious right now. Let's figure out why.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like I say, that's a step we need to take for sure. Definitely.
There are going to be uncomfortable conversations. We can't get done with that.
Yeah, and that was kind of weird right now. She's not here beside me, so I'm nervous here. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's there. She's your support when she's there. Look, I got to tell you, man. Obviously, doing this in this forum is a big enough thing by itself, but. You guys are walking the right path. Yeah. If you're like any of the other couples I've worked with, this means that, you'll be sitting around watching TV. It'll be a totally normal day. Everything's been going great. You've been sitting around, hanging out. You come home, you watch TV, and then something happens on the screen. Somebody mentions cheating, or something is related to sex on the screen.
Has that happened yet?
I mean, watching a music video, you see a girl with
no clothing on.
Yeah, just like her stuff out everywhere, and it's like, I kind of like, I'm sitting here kind of pushed into the sofa because I know, like, I'm watching this, but I know, like, she's like beading at me right now, like, with eyes of fury, like, hey, easy killer, like, but she understands, she knows.
Totally.
Yeah.
But it's just part of this, and it's one step at a time, and it's how you handle it. And I think also not brushing it under the rug and pretending that, like, you didn't just see what she sees that you see that she sees, like this whole thing where it's like, I hope she didn't see that I was. It's just normal everyday life. And eventually you have to, like, you can't not watch any videos. Like, you can't never watch a movie ever again. You can't ever not ever experience pleasure by, like, watching a series on TV or going to a play. Like, you have to be able to do these things that bring us pleasure because it's part of real life. And for us, we don't believe in, like, taking everything out that could potentially be triggering and avoiding all the things that are uncomfortable. And No, like we think we're the opposite. We think it's important to like build up the trust and come to a place where you can live a normal life and just be a normal couple that has this thing behind you, but that it made you stronger. So you're a normal couple, but you actually have you're like two steps up because you've got this thing you got through in the right way.
That would definitely, that'd be awesome. And I feel like it would help a lot. And like kind of going into the whole video, back into the video thing. Yeah. I mean, like we're at a point right now, like we can watch a video together. She'll, like she wouldn't say anything about it. Like we can watch it, whatever's going on. But, and I think she's starting to get more like comfortable with it. Like we'll talk about it. We'll talk about what we see.
Oh, you will? Okay, great.
So, yeah, I mean,
that's what I want to make sure that you guys do as you talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that awkward when we watch a video like, oh my God, I mean, I kind of made it seem like it was more, but
no, but it's, we went through the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we actually look at all those things as opportunities right there. Like I said, when that discomfort comes, you're watching TV and somebody's too naked on the screen and you're both sitting there like, remember, did you guys ever ride in the car with your parents or anything when you were like teenagers or even maybe 12 or something, and like a conversation about sex would come up or a song about hooking up would come up and you get really small and uncomfortable because you're like, wait, I'm sitting in the car right now listening to something about sex with my parents. I want to disappear.
Yeah,
definitely.
Or like watching a TV series or something, it just a scene comes on and it's like you're right there in the middle of your parents, like,
and you just want to disappear. You're like, all I'm saying is I don't want that to happen to you guys. I don't want when those things come up on the screen. Here's what I'm asking is, how do you turn to the other person and go, hey, is this making you uncomfortable? Or, hey, I got to tell you, I get that we're not doing anything wrong here, but I just got anxious.
Yeah. I always do. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, we were talking about, like being comfortable enough, like having a conversation about like watching someone like sexually presenting themselves. Like, I mean, as far as videos or music or anything like that. But just being comfortable enough to like discuss whether or not it made either one of us uncomfortable in that situation with each other.
Well, I'm always like so open about it. Like I'll be like, that made me uncomfortable. Oh yeah,
like I said, I mean,
like her ass is so much bigger than mine, and I immediately get insecure. But I can like admit it. I admit that, and I'm working. Like I said, I'm working on myself in those areas too. Like, I'm not relying on him necessarily to.
She's definitely getting better, though. I mean, a lot better. And I'm not rushing anything. I mean, especially considering what I've done. She has all the time she needs. So.
Yeah. I mean, look, the one element of this that we can't affect is time. Okay. And so the conversations are going to happen over time, and you're going to see that there's relief. You get the same conversations that are making you really uncomfortable right now in 6 months are not going to make you that uncomfortable. The thing is, new stuff will come up. And the reason the new stuff will come up is right now you're dealing with the aftershock of the actual cheating. Mm-hmm. This is the leftover stuff. This is stuff that was cool before.
Yeah.
Right? Before, Lacy, I assume, I don't know if this is true, but maybe a few years ago, a year or two ago, a video like that would come on and it wouldn't trigger much.
I mean, not as bad, definitely.
Not as bad.
Now everything definitely is easy. Like trigger much easier. Yeah.
So we're kind of still in damage control to some extent. And so a lot of the conversations, the reason they're uncomfortable is because you're dealing with the aftermath of the actual cheating. That's what the health stuff is. That's what seeing things on TV that are uncomfortable. That's what, hey, I got a little question real quick. All those things are the aftermath, right?
Yeah.
That is super important because you've got to get through it. And talking about it actually, in our experience, helps. So when you find something that's uncomfortable, I call it the deep tissue massage version of helping. Lean into it, right? Like you go get a massage and there's a really soft Swedish massage one, the one where they just kind of pet you.
Yeah.
Feels really nice. It's relaxing, but it doesn't work out the kinks in your muscles. Right. The one where they lean into you at the elbow
Yeah.
and it really hurts.
Was it work?
Those are the ones that work to release muscle tension. So that's this version.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff we talked about towards the end last time, Darrell, really had to do with some of the things that will be long-term work for you in terms of, like we were talking about a little like 20 minutes ago or something. I don't know that you've been in a relationship in the past, and I want to talk about this a minute, where you knew, kind of literally almost 100% knew that your partner knew everything about you, knew the real you, trusted and loved you for all those things that they know about you, and that, you know, bar literally you going completely insane and crazy and, I don't know, like murdering somebody, that you're good, that you're actually good and you're safe in a relationship. And we talked last time about what it was like growing up for you, and it was tough, right?
Yeah.
Going to you lived with your grandmother. She raised you because your mom wasn't prepped, and you didn't really have solid role models.
Yeah, definitely not a male figure anyway. So
yeah, and I, you know what? This is your chance, man. This is your time to develop it. This is your time to develop what that model looks like for you, so that you get to transmit that to your kids.
Exactly.
And just break that cycle. Just get it done with.
That makes so much sense, man. And I definitely feel like Lacy's the foundation to making something like that possible. You know, just working together for her to, you know, understand like who I truly am, like what I truly deal with on a daily basis. Us being comfortable talking 100% about like what actually happens, like the comments each people make. You know what I mean? Just given like the situation that's happened, you know, I wouldn't, even after we talked about, you know, being 100% transparent, I'm not 100% comfortable saying, hey, you know, she said this, or hey, she said that, even though, you know, I'm not acting on any of those situations or any of those conversations. Like,
what makes it weird?
To talk about those situations.
Yeah, like when those things come up, what makes it weird to discuss it with Lacy?
At this point, because of the hurt, you know, the burden I put on our relationship.
Yeah.
I feel like if I was to bring something like that up, it would just kind of trigger everything, and just kind of.
But that's the point.
And I mean, it really is.
You kind of have, like, you have to move forward.
Yeah. And I'm still, like you said, this is a great opportunity for me, you know, for me to grow, to develop myself. Man. Yeah,
it's huge, and I'm glad you recognize how much you need Lacy. Like I needed Sophie, right? Like the other, we need somebody to be there with that level of strength, because really, if I put it really simply, we're creating a new person, right? We're literally, they found something in us that they liked years ago, and there's that in us, but we'd been hiding. Like, it's like the iceberg metaphor, you know? It's like they saw this iceberg they really liked. They're like, oh, that's pretty. Let me put my boat over there. But in reality, there's this huge boulder under the surface that we've been hiding from a lot of people. Yes. And to be able to have a partner that can take the growth as you experience it and be there with you, holding your hand. Yes, sometimes holding your hand and screaming in your face that you're an idiot, but still holding your hand and knowing, like, okay, as long as I keep doing this work, I'm going to get to a place where we don't have this anymore, where we don't have mistrust, and I don't make my wife feel unsafe. Maybe actually, if anything, telling my wife that somebody tried to flirt with me at work today and how it transpired is actually showing her how connected I am to her.
Yeah,
because go ahead.
No, what I was going to elaborate on was like, yeah, I mean, I understand that 100%. You know, I know how important that is for us. It's just like I said, dealing with the whole health situation,
changing
and then
your perspective.
Yeah,
on what you think that you on that. Like, if you do that, change your perspective on it. Look at it like, if I bring this up, yeah, it's going to trigger her, but look at it as a way of growth instead of like, oh, it's going to bring us back 5 steps. Like, because it really doesn't. It really would make me feel.
And that's where I've been. But I have to know that that's where we need to go in order to get past all of this.
Yeah, exactly. And look, I gotta be honest with you both. There'll be bumps along the way. There are for sure times that I came home and sometimes Sophie was ready for the openness and the transparency. And other times she was like, I don't want to fucking hear that right now.
Yeah.
And I had to hold that space to go, I get it. It's not about, I'm sharing this for us and I'm going to step away because I'm doing this for you to be able to trust me. I don't need to force it on you. Right? That's not my job. But I just want you to know that I don't want anything to be hidden. And again, that's not, you guys know, that's not the place most couples live in. Most guys, I mean, we heard about it in this election cycle or whatever, and we'll hear about it forever more. But it's been kind of a fact for a while that guys just talk behind everybody's back, about other women, etc. I'm now in a place in my life where, look, my guy friends don't do that around me. I'm not saying it's not like we can't acknowledge that somebody is attractive, or it's not as if we hide ourselves away from where women exist if I'm out with my boys, but like nobody talks that way around me, at least. I don't know if they do it around other people about, talking shit about my wife or comparing what it would be like with somebody else. That shit is gone. And it's gone because I finally, again, I'll be honest, I wasn't there at the beginning. I finally got to a place through this work of recognizing the value of my relationship with my wife. And she's the person I go to talk about anything that is primary. That doesn't mean I still have my boys and my friends, and like that's still important to have those relationships in my life. But if there's something that I need to talk about my relationship with, I go to my wife. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the one that's the one I got to work on, and that's where I have to gain the strength from.
Yeah. And
you did mention about the like I was looking on your Instagram, saw you searched that girl. We didn't talk about that, but we should.
I've had dozens of those. Yeah. What happened? Walk me through like a little.
I just looked like I check his social media here and there. I've got it like linked to mine, and he rarely gets on it. But I mean, like I looked this one day randomly and saw, and like he had searched for some, I don't know, she's a porn star, or just a model. I don't know, just a half naked model basically. Yeah. And so I saw it, and I was like, I texted him because he was at work, and I screenshotted it and sent it. I was like, "What's that? Like, why are you doing that?"
Yeah.
And this was also when we were kind of doing bad.
Yeah.
We were having like a lot of arguments and like.
Yeah, and that becomes a thing, right? It becomes that escape again.
Yeah.
Because like, oh, we're fighting. I got to go feel good. Oh, how do I feel good? I go connect to that again, and that's exactly why I'm saying. When the fights happen, what the discomfort happens, if we don't turn to our partner and say, hey, this is making me feel really shitty right now. Let's not leave this until we feel a little bit better about it, or until we have at least a solution or have another time. Sometimes you can't work it out in the moment. And one of the best techniques I found for that is to say, I'm going to go take a walk. Just going to walk around the block a couple of times. I'll be back in 25, 30 minutes. We can sit and talk about this right now, but right now I'm too activated. I'm too agitated. I can't. I'm not going to have a rational conversation.
Right.
But we've been there, man. And by the way, sometimes, again, old habits die hard, guys. Yeah. And so when you've had something you've run to since, I mean, you're a man, if you're anything like any of the other men that I've worked with or my own life, since the age of like 12, feel weird or whatever, run and kind of look for half naked women or fully naked women, right? Because it made you feel good.
100%. I've definitely eased off of that. I mean, it's been a habit for a while. Hey, I mean, I gotta second free. Hey, I'm on Instagram searching, so and so or whatever, and I'll delete my history. But I didn't. The one she's talking about in particular, I searched her. I forgot to delete my history, so she's seen that one. So
I like that though. That's better.
Yeah.
I mean, no offense, but it's better that you forgot to delete your history because
that he said that. I'm sitting here like,
makes it more juicy. But
come on.
Hey.
But the thing is, I knew that, and I was like, so you forgot to delete her, and that's where dysfunction comes in on both of our that's
not okay at all. So
we shouldn't have to delete anything.
So here's the progress, guys. Right, we go from exactly the moment we're having right now to oh fuck, you've been I was right. You have been deleting the shit, and now the cat's out the fucking bag. Right, like this is one of those first moments where you just had the weird conversation where somebody found out something you didn't want them to find out. Awesome. That's wonderful. Because next time, I'm telling you right now, I can almost predict it already. Next time, you might even delete it and just be like, hey, babe, I got to let you know I just deleted some history I didn't want you to watch. I just wanted you to know that I did it. Time after that, you might even be like, hey, I was about to delete. Like, we just gradually get better and better at this. Eventually until the point where you're just not doing the searches anymore. But it takes a minute because these things have been so ingrained. Sophie's had, how many times would you say you found like searches or me looking at a profile on Instagram that just was kind of off?
Yeah. I mean, I think like he said, it's gradual. Like, it's hard to even remember back when we were in this like kind of phase of like the most sensitive time. We had like, what's the cyber like search like security thing on your computer?
We did like one of those cyber nanny things on the laptop.
Yeah. Like we had, we really.
That thing broke after like a month or two. That was weird.
Broke. Yeah. And it broke, but then I could kind of trace what he was doing. And after a while I stopped caring. And then like once in a while I would check in, and sometimes there'd be something that made me feel uncomfortable and I'd bring it up to him and it would cause a fight. But then, the less defensive he became and the less like accusatory I became. Like it's both, like if I come at him with like boxing gloves up, he's going to go into the defense and feel all that shame. And
that's definitely it.
And then once he goes into fear and shame and guilt, it's all the same thing basically. Then I go into a place of like anger and, it just is like this cycle. So as soon as we both kind of like let our boxing gloves down and I wasn't like, you're the one that did all these things, like even without my words, I was coming at him like, you're the one that did all these things wrong. So you owe me. Like it was this attitude, like you destroyed us. So now you're going to be punished till the end of time.
Right.
And that perspective of like punishment, like, they did mess up, but like we're all human also. And I'm choosing to stick in this relationship and he's choosing to do this work with me. So as long as he's willing to do the work with me, beside me, we're going to get through this just like any human being would. And we all make mistakes. And so the minute that because you can stay in that place of that cycle, but if he's constantly being punished and then he's constantly going through guilt and shame, you're never getting anywhere. So what's the point? Right. And it's great on paper, right? I'm saying it, but then you still go back into that habit of wanting to punish him. And then he goes back into the habit of guilt and shame. And it will keep happening, but less and less. And then you'll see yourself doing it. After a while, you'll be like the bird's eye view of like, we're doing this again.
Yeah.
It's the cycle again. Like, what are we doing here? Like, this is the same fight from 3 weeks ago, just a different day about a different topic. And like, the more that you can remove yourself and see yourself in the experience and kind of back away. Like our therapist would say, don't get caught up in the details. Because the details to things don't actually matter. It's the heart of it. It's like what's behind it, right? And the patterns behind it and why we're going through those patterns. Like, why are you going in through this place of shame and guilt? Like, what is that about you? Why are you still cycling through shame and guilt? What is it about you that needs to punish? Like, still, X amount of days later, X amount, and it's like, there's nothing wrong with either thing. It's take responsibility for where you're going.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I needed to punish him? Like, what is that about me that I need to make him feel like shit on the ground? Like, there's something about me. And so taking responsibility for that and being like, that pattern isn't really working for us anymore. Like, it never was, but am I going to be a grown-up and project this relationship, my relationship forward? Or am I going to let us stay back there where we're like repressed and sad and upset with each other all the time? Like,
right.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So.
Yeah. And like, we kind of have recognized that in the last couple of weeks. We're just like, it works so much easier the way things have been. Because I think even like with that particular incident with the girl, it was all through text. And I was just like, what's this? And he was like,
yeah.
He didn't get defensive because on text messaging, he doesn't do the whole defense thing. He won't like argue with me through text. So he was just like,
kind of weird.
It was just kind of like, oh yeah, I did. And he was like, I'm sorry. I don't know. And I was like, okay. And then it was just kind of done, like,
yeah.
And but then we didn't fight because it was through text. And then.
Oh, interesting. So maybe there's some ways where asking questions is easier for you to process emotionally, Darrell, in terms of even if the question is uncomfortable, it's just easier to answer it through text because it's more anonymous and less connected.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
I mean,
and he doesn't want to argue when he's at work. He's just exhausted. So like, and I try not to pick any arguments while he's at work. I'm just like, okay, I know he's in a place where he doesn't really want to be in the first place.
This is by the way, a bigger picture piece that we didn't really talk about at all last time. Although I do want to ask you before we cut out here today. So just remind me, Darrell, if you did end up having a chance to kind of look around and see, if I had to pick a male role model, what would that even look like? I think that would be important.
Who was it that I wrote down?
You wrote like 5 people down.
I think
one was Russell Wilson. One was
Will Smith.
The Rock.
Okay.
I mean, just people who have their shit together. You know what I mean? I mean, and take care of their families.
Take care of their family. I mean, if you talk about the guys you just mentioned, they give a lot back to the community. They do a lot of work to help other people, right? I mean, whether it's Will Smith or
yeah, exactly. And if I had it like these guys, I would be doing the same thing. I talk about it all the time, kind of like you guys. You give back, and we really appreciate that. But
yeah. So here's what I want to. But here's what I want to tell you, though. Don't wait till you got it like them. You're not waiting.
Definitely. Yeah.
I'm saying life is happening right now, and there is no end point. I mean, you're not going to get anywhere. The only place we're getting is to a grave. And so let's not wait until the end to do anything. And what I mean by that is, this to some extent is giving back, but I picked a line of work where a lot of what I do is giving back to some extent. So I get to experience that. But we go once a month, we go and volunteer and make food for people who are sick that then gets on trucks and gets delivered to them. We didn't get to talk about this much, but you just hit it on the head, Lacy, when you talked about when Darrell's at work, because you're not, let's be honest, hopefully your employer's not listening right now, but you're not that into your job, right? It's not something that excites you.
No, definitely not.
So I got to tell you this right now, man, this will help elevate this another level if and when we can lock this in. You've got to find other things in life that really spark you up, that really ignite you. Because if you don't, it doesn't matter how much money you make, doesn't matter how much time you have, it doesn't matter how good the sex is or how big the house is. If there's no purpose to all of it, if it doesn't feel like it has a meaning behind it, a life, not even just your job, but your life, it eats at you. It gradually just eats at you. And that's why we get pissed off at work, because at the end of the day, we're like, fuck, I don't want to be here. This sucks.
Yeah. And that it kind of elaborate on what you're saying again, man, that makes perfect sense because I mean, what we have right now, we're truly blessed. You know what I mean? I mean, things could be a lot worse, but I do think that given the financial situation, like I want to be at this point. So like my work just seems that much worse.
Yeah.
And because in my head, I'm telling myself that it's that bad, but in reality, it's like it's a blessing. Like I should be more grateful.
So one of the ways to get there that I've always found is give back. When you take the focus away from what you're unhappy having and you focus on somebody else that you can help, all of a sudden you go, oh man, my life is great. And it feeds back like that. It's pretty amazing. And you know, look at those guys. Look at the 5 guys that you picked.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'd love for you to do, if you guys can actually email me this, you've got the 5 guys. So just email me this. I'd love to have who they are and what is it about them that makes you go, I'd like to be like them. Because if we can start identifying those things, that'll go a whole level above resolving the struggle you're in right now, which is overcoming the consequences. And what it'll gradually do is, you know, Lacy, you're holding a really amazing place for Darrell right now to have his growth. And if you, Darrell, can show up in the same way to really step up and offer that growth, not just the consequences of what has already happened, but to create a really strong base for yourself, the relationship that comes on the other side of that is between the person Lacy has had to become through this to really learn about herself, strengthen herself, be able to be there for you while you're doing the work that she's hoping you do anyway. And then you're unbeatable. That's it. It's over. You've got this bond that'll never be able to be broken.
It's the master plan right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Definitely.
awesome, man.
Yeah. Do you have guys have any other things that are coming up? I mean, thank you so much for sharing this stuff. I'm hoping it helps a little bit, Darrell, to see. Even if there is something that came up from the affair, even if there's a leftover physical piece of it, our job is to focus on what we can fix, do our best work to become the best men that we can be, address the trouble that we brought along with us, and keep moving.
Live up to it and acknowledge it and fix it.
Yeah.
And small victories, I have started, like, even to myself, and I don't even think I brought this up to you, but there was like a day, maybe 3 days ago, and the whole day went by, and I noticed I didn't think about it all day. And so that, for me, is huge, because I think about it at least 5 to 10 times a day. You know, like,
it'll keep getting less and less. I know it seems crazy, but now that you've experienced an entire day.
Yeah. I was like, I didn't even think about it all day. And I think I told you that. Yeah, I did. Because I was like, things have been going really well, and I appreciate everything you're doing. Like, you're being really nice, and you're open, and I feel more connected to you. And I was like, I didn't even think about it.
Yeah,
and
it's beautiful.
Great,
and that's exactly what I'm referring to, is like, even like, I forget to look in his phone. Like 6 months will pass, and I'm like, and then I'll go through like all the like compulsive psychotic things. Like, I'll go through his Facebook, like I go into all the secret places, and I'm like, there's got to be something here. And like, there isn't.
Nope.
But if there was,
not because he deleted it.
Even if there was, we would talk about it. And I'm not going anywhere. Like you said, I think that's the most important thing, is like, we're in this. Like, we're in this. Like, I'm not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere, unless we decide that we don't love each other anymore, or one of us is out and doesn't want to do the work anymore. We're in this no matter what. So both people have to like be in that place of security, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. We really appreciate you guys doing this for us. This is so nice of you to take time to help the little measly Waltons over here.
It's our pleasure.
I love doing it. And again, you guys are brave for doing it in this forum, but we know we've been there. And
you're helping so many other people in this exact same.
That's a good way that we've been giving back. Like, if we kind of look at this as like, I mean, there's been times where I'm like, I would love to share these podcasts with everybody that we know. But
one day you may. Day you may.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. It's like, it's all different levels of security in yourself, you know, like, it's all just different levels, and we're all at different levels. Like, there's certain things that I won't say in our couples meeting still. And that's about me. That's not about the couples in our couples meeting. That's about me and my security within myself. Like, it's about being vulnerable, and it's about timing, and it's about respecting the healing process, like your healing process, you as a couple, like
exactly.
At a certain point, you might send it to a friend. You know, like we have friends in our couples meetings that are now going through the exact same thing they went through years ago.
Right.
Now it's, you know, they're being of service to those friends because they're like, I've actually been through this exact same thing, and here's what happened. You never know, and just trust your own like inner wisdom, and when it's right, you'll send out a massive email or not, you know, like who knows? Who knows?
You'll be like, here's a link, everybody. Please listen, and dinner at our house tomorrow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Check out what we went through.
Right.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, again, thank you guys so much. Thanks for being brave, and thanks for doing this.
I'll tell you this stuff.
And I'm so proud of your progress. We're going to check in with you guys again. So I look forward to it.
Thanks,
Cool.
guys.
Thank you.
I appreciate it
so much. Yeah. Thanks everybody for listening. We will see you next week.
See you next week.
Thank you everybody for listening to the Ignited podcast. We were so happy to have you along for this ride. Please go and subscribe to this. Leave us a review. We love hearing from you. And if you want more, don't forget to go to ignited.com, where all the podcast episodes are available with show notes and so many of the little details and links from each one of these interviews. And you can look at all the future events that we have going on, all the things that make Ignited so special, even beyond this recording. Again, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next week.